All right, we're getting close to having this whole thing finished. There's just a couple more things to go. I'll just turn off that underlay PDF just to see what has been done. What I've quickly done, because some things haven't changed, like floors and pier footings, that kind of stuff. So I've just taken care of some of that quick stuff by adding that in. Added the tiles and the carpet. Yeah, nothing new to see there. Same old school stuff. One thing that's important is you will notice sometimes, and it may seem like it's a pain that it happens. Sorry, I'm just fixing this up here. I haven't put a slab in. It's a pain that when this happens, and that happens due to the fact that I always bring my brickwork down from here because I hate when I'm looking at section views that show the brickwork all the way up. It's not how it's meant to look. It's meant to be there with the frame going up, and I think it's important to show that, and it keeps it that way. And if by selecting all in the entire project, if you just change the top extension from being up high, which gives you back, it would have gone back, but yeah, I would recommend having them all at -300, so it just sits flush with the top of the windows. Boom. And unfortunately, it takes 5 seconds, but you've just got to miter them all. I know, it's annoying, but when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, about 8 different miters takes you about nothing. So there we go, it's all done. Painful, I know, but if we're ever having to do sections and 3D sections, I just think it's paramount that it looks what it's meant to look like. Cool. So that's just wall joins, and the other thing I'll show you in this quick video is a cool thing called room dimensions. I don't have my robe tags in there. Oh, and that's out. Let's line that up. Oh, that's better. There we go. Robes. You can either write the word robe, or I find an easy way is just to grab that robe that I made, that walk-in robe, WIR, and just use the I shape. Boom, put it in, paste it, using those long lines, not the short line. Long line. Oh, wrong spot. Long line, boom. And you have the piece in there, and then you can tag it, TG. Boom. And it'll just move with it. It won't just fall apart. And I can even just create similar of that, put it in. I know it's the right length because I've just extended it using the align tool. I'm going to align this time, but I don't want to extend it. I just want to move it over, and that's where using this line instead of this line is important. Use this line to move, this line to extend. This line to move, this line to extend. So watch this, I'll move it. Boom, it's moved. If I do it with this one, it will extend it, and we don't want that. So if you know the length, you move it. If you don't know the length, you extend it. See, if I didn't know this was the right one, what I would do is I would go that one to extend, and then I would go and do an align from that one to that one. And it doesn't matter what the length is. I don't even have to think about it. And I'll use TG for tag, or I'll be old school and go tag by category and add row. And it just makes life easier. There we go. And that's right, we're talking room dimensions. So when you go to a dimension, I don't use that button at all. Is it that one? I just press my dimension shortcut. I think we're dimensioning. Yeah, so we're dimensioning. So normally you get this dimension, and it's like cool, but it just adds extra lines on the page, pain in the ass. And sometimes you just want to show simple room dimensions. A lot of clients I know, even when I was talking to one client the other day, and they didn't. It was just hard for some people to visualize millimeters, but it's a lot easier to measure meters. So sometimes, just for the client, not for anyone else, not for the builder, it's just good to have those internal dimensions written as such, but they can't be text notes because then there's mistakes. So what's important is these dimensions have to be one called room dimensions. So up here where all your dimensions are, there's one called room dimensions. boom, and it looks sporadic, but it will work. So what you do is you look for an area that doesn't have any detail. Like there's detail in that corner, so it's going to get annoying, right? Playing there. So we don't want to be up that way. You can either click on that. There should be a little arrow. See that arrow? You can flip it, and it brings it down to this end. And I'd bring that down close to there. It doesn't matter where these lines are. It doesn't matter where they sit, as long as by the end of it you can move these texts into manageable areas. There we go. I try and line them up with the line, and then it just makes it easy to find where that, because it's invisible, you're like, oh, where is the line? And you have to hover over it. There it is. And so what that gives you is an exact dimension, and when anyone else is in the plan, they can just hover over it and make sure it's going to the right spot. So in this room, for instance, it's very important. Let's not use that dimension. Let's use this one. Create similar. In this room, it's important to notice the difference between going from this wall and giving you 2.5 and going from this wall and giving you 3.5. So it has to be you have to be careful. If you're doing it in this corner, you have to be careful that you're not taking the robe in consideration. Really, this room, it should be done here to avoid any conflict, so everyone knows it's just that distance, as opposed to here. Some people might be wondering, oh, is that to the robe or to the wall? And no one has Revit where they can hover. They won't have that in the printed version. So this room, it would be here. And I think the reason I'm using these ones too and not text-based systems is if any rooms ever change, you don't, like, I always made mistakes and forget to change the text note if I just had a text note here saying room sizes. So yeah, it makes just life a little easier. I'll quickly just rush through these. Whoops, I went the wrong way. If you start from the origin, like from, come on, give me that wall. Start from the origin and go to the end, it'll come down that end. Start from the origin. Oh, carpet's out. Start from the origin, go to the end, and they should both end up in that spot. There we go. Get them in a manageable spot to see, and they should be right to... perfect example. I was talking about an arrow in the way before. You want that right there, but that arrow's in the way, and you're like, oh, damn you, arrow. So you click on the window, and there's a magical parameter called arrow offset, and you can just change that to, say, from 100 to 250. See, might not work for this one. You can make it minus. Let's see if we can make it minus. I wonder if it'll let me. Aha, it doesn't like it. So that can work. What I would have done, instead of doing it that way, I would have bought that arrow. Instead of it being 100, I would have made it 50, so it's right up against the window. There, like super close. 40 or 30, let's go 30. Squeeze that up, and that just gives you that freedom. There we go, room. Let's give this room a little bit of a hit. One down there, and one probably from... Ooh, this one's tricky. Let's go from here. That'll do. Should we make that? I don't like that that's 9-9. Ah, well, that's the house. It's not for me to decide. Here we go. Line that up. There we go. Let's do this room. Oh, this one's hard too. I don't like when I don't have a wall to do it with, but it'll be right. That's good enough. Pull that up to there. Get that into position. Doesn't matter how they sit, as long as they're there. Look, I don't like the arrow. 100, change that to 40. See the arrow move? Oh yeah, good stuff. And I'll move that down just a bit. This room would want one there, and one coming across there. So yeah, that's basically how you do the room dimensions, and yeah, and a safe way of doing it. I think that's really important, and you can't go wrong. Once they're in, might be a little bit of an exercise to set them up, but once they're in, it's beautiful. So do that to all the rooms that will fit it, and yeah, you should be right. Cool, thanks for watching.